Hey guys, welcome to today's solo episode of the Men Made for More podcast. I'm stoked to be talking about self leadership today. If you can't lead yourself, you can't possibly lead others in your life that are depending on you. Too many men we work with are focused on leading others, leading their spouse, their kids, their employees, their community, yet they haven't first mastered how to lead themselves. Trying to improve leadership with others before learning the skill of self leadership will lead to frustration and limitations in your ability to influence and impact those around you. Listen up to learn the keys to self leadership that you need to master in order to go out and be a leader for those around you. Self leadership is a skill that I personally believe all men need to master before being able to lead others, before going and even trying to lead others to the best of their ability. It's just not going to happen if you're not first controlling yourself, controlling being a leader within you. Now, what is self leadership? I think we know what leadership is, generally speaking, but what is self leadership? I found a couple definitions that did a great job encompassing what self leadership is. Amy Franco describes it as self leadership describes how you lead your own life, setting your course, following it, and correcting it as you go. Bryant and Kazan say self leadership is a practice of intentionally influencing your thinking, feeling, and actions towards your objectives. Those are great. I love those. And it's this belief that you need to direct your own course. You need to direct your own actions. You need to be accountable to yourself. You need to be able to lead yourself and do what you say you're going to do before you go and expect that out of others. It's the whole do as I say, but not as I do type of mentality. You have to prove that with yourself first before you can go and have influence with others. Now, with knowing what self-leadership is, why is it important? Why are we even having this podcast on it? And to put it simply, how you lead yourself will determine how you lead others. Some questions I want you to start asking yourself just to get started. Are you a man that's accountable to your word and your actions? Or said another way, do you do what you say you're going to do? Do you have a standard of excellence for yourself with non-negotiables that guide your actions? Are you intentionally living your life or just letting life happen to you? Are you purposeful and deliberate in how you spend your days and live your life? Are you proactively seeking growth and new learning opportunities, or are you just reacting to what life throws your way? These are just a few questions that self-leadership is going to really guide and really help you figure out. And these are the questions you have to be asking yourself to lead yourself and lead others. And I know it can be overwhelming. A lot of guys don't even give a second thought to some of these questions. But we're going to get into just a few minutes here as we wrap up the show, the actionable takeaways you guys can have, things you can learn, and how to start asking these better questions so that you can lead yourself and then go lead those around you. Because if you fail to purposefully and intentionally grow your ability to lead yourself, your degree of influence and your success is going to be limited. I can guarantee it. I've seen it firsthand. And a good story to demonstrate this is with my wife, Lindsay, and I, especially this past April when she came on full time into our physical therapy business, Inside Out Strength and Performance. She came on full time in April and started working full time in the business. We were all in. And previous to that, I'd been flying by the seat of my pants for years with little structure and some pretty good results, but no structure really whatsoever. Just really winging it for lack of a better word. And I was used to being a business of one, which is great for having things done your way, but it's not the best long-term plan for building an effective team and effective business. That little structure that I was used to, it caught up to us when Lindsay came on full time, because I went from being used to having no set schedule and poorly formed goals and processes and no real standard set for how things needed to be done. Needless to say, with that poor structure, Lindsay was confused, overwhelmed, exhausted, trying to keep up with all of it. Not only that, but I assumed that she was the one that needed to be led. I needed to do a better job leading her. I was looking externally. Now, it was up to me to tell her the standard that needed to be held in terms of work hours. Here's how we do things. Here's how the business works. Here's how to work in the business, on the business. Here's how you need to lead yourself. Yet I wasn't demonstrating that myself. The only problem was simply telling her to do it without demonstrating that standard of excellence. That's a good way to add strain to both our business and our marriage. And that's what we ran into. We wound up more frustrated and overwhelmed than we ever were before. And of course, we both thought it was the other's fault. That's always how it works in business and marriage, right? And only one of us was right. And you guessed it, it was not me. I realized in hindsight I was lacking the ability to lead myself. I didn't have the right mindset and I didn't have the right leadership skills over my own mind and my own schedule. So there's no way I could possibly lead Lindsay the way I needed to. I wasn't showing up for her the way I needed to because I didn't first demonstrate that to myself. Now, that was a wake-up call that took me a few months too long of poor leadership habits before I finally came to my senses. And a big thanks for that being due to some of our business coaches about the need for me to be a better leader of both myself and our team. Leadership's not hands off. I learned that the hard way. I couldn't just expect it to be done and tell people what to do. It's not just management. It's much more than that. Now, John Maxwell, one of the greats on leadership, he always says that leadership is not the same as simply having a leadership position. In this case, just because I was the business owner, it didn't make me qualified to lead. I need to still start with self-leadership. Now, guys, I know this concept is so important for any guys in a leadership position. And, I'm taking that one step further. I believe all men are called to lead in some form or another. Just because you don't hold a position of business owner, manager, any of those things doesn't mean you're not leading your family. Doesn't mean you're not leading your spouse, your community, at your church, in volunteering. We can all be leaders in different ways. So I want to talk about 4 strategies to help you master the skill of self-leadership, which I think is a skill we need to be working on daily. As guys, we need to be doing this every single day. This doesn't mean hours at a time, but you have to be deliberate and intentional in doing this every single day. Now, the 4 things we're going to talk about: alone time, awareness, accountability, and alignment. So the 4 A's, if you will. I'm going to break these down one by one and just give you guys a little background about what I mean by each of those. So the first thing, alone time, for the skill you need to start to master. We don't give ourselves much alone time. Our world is filled with distractions, filled with shiny objects, filled with things that pull our attention one way or another. But we need to be alone and intentional in that alone time, or what I like to call sharpening the axe. And this is where we do our prep work. This is where we do our reflection. We can do things like journaling, prayer, meditation, reading, just laying out your day and your week. By spending that alone time, it helps you to kind of center yourselves and reflect, because I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this, but if you just go through a crazy week, if you're working a hectic work week, if you're bouncing around, you're jumping from commitment to commitment, how much progress are you making towards those things that aren't screaming the loudest? Things like, maybe for you, it's your health. Maybe it's your relationships, investing in your spouse, investing in your kids. Maybe it's, certain things at work, you're just putting fires out, but you're not really driving the business forward. You're not really driving your week forward. That's what this alone time does. It helps to gain some perspective, take a step away. This can be 5 minutes, or this can be an hour at the start of your day. The flexibility is going to vary person to person, but the key is to make sure you're getting this every single day, ideally a little bit in the morning and a little bit at the end of the day, to do your prep work in the morning and reflect at the end of the day. Second thing that goes really closely along with that, awareness. And this is intentional living. This is being more purposeful about why you're doing things. In your health, this is making sure that you're setting yourself up for success. In your marriage, it's doing the little things that go a long way. The things that you could get away without doing that today. You could get away without working out. You could get away without writing your wife a little note, telling her how much you love her. You could get away without calling your parents. But when you have that alone time, then you bring awareness to it to see, okay, what do I need to do today? And break that out further. What am I trying to do this year? Okay, so what do I need to be doing this quarter, this month, today? And that's the whole goal setting in the now thing we talk a lot about. We talk a lot about with our coaching clients. It's breaking down these big long-term goals and saying, okay, what do I need to do today to create improvement across all these areas of my life? And that could be health, relationships, mindset, finances, career, your spiritual life. This can be in any category, but you have to be intentional about it. Another piece of awareness is identifying strengths and your weaknesses. It's finding, what is my highest contribution? What is the thing I need to be doing today? And often, guys, these things are not the things that scream the loudest. These are the things that, if left undone, the day's going to go on. It's not something that is urgent, but it is so important. And those are the things you need to identify. Where can I be giving back the most? Where can I be giving back my times, talents? Who can I identify that needs me to lead today? And that gets into another piece of awareness, asking the right questions. Good leaders ask great questions. Another John Maxwell quote, and I believe he has a whole book on it. but what kind of questions are you asking yourself? Because the great leaders I talk to, the people I look up to, they're asking hard questions themselves, and they're doing this daily. They're looking for things like, where are my blind spots? Where are my barriers? What's gonna keep me from accomplishing this today? Here's the schedule I laid out. Here's all the things I want to get done. What possible barriers could come in that would keep me from doing that? When you can identify these things ahead of time and be proactive in asking some of these tough questions, man, guys, you are going to find so much more productivity, so much more fulfillment in your day because you're ready for those things. You're reflecting on those things. Questions like, what skills do I need to be working on to get to this new job position, to get this promotion, to start this business? Those are the questions you got to be asking yourself every single day, and specific to your situation. It could be, how do I make today great for my kids? How many people wake up and ask those types of questions? If we're not doing it, they're not going to just happen. They're not just going to start happening. It requires intentionality to start doing that. And the key with all of this awareness is that you'll find it's not about working harder. It's not about how do I get more hours into my day. It's about working on the right things. So that awareness piece is huge. Third thing, the accountability. Can you follow through on what you set out to do? This can be across a lot of things. Do you follow through on the process and the outcomes you lay out? If you commit to the process long enough, the outcome's going to take care of itself. You can listen to last week's episode. The solo episode did on that. I did a whole episode on process versus outcomes. Do you follow through on the goals you set, on the commitments you make? Commitments is a big one because it could be important things like workout routines, not missing a workout. It could be things like commitments with friends and family, but it could be all the way to little things, seemingly little things like not snoozing your alarm. If you say you're not going to snooze your alarm, then get up and turn it off and get the day going. Those little commitments we have to ourselves, those little things when we can lead ourselves in those small ways. It could be something like not snoozing the alarm. It could be something like not checking our phone every time it goes off, not checking social media dozens of times a day. Those things, as we lead ourselves, are going to carry over big time into our ability to lead others. Last thing on the following through on what you say, the accountability piece of it. Do you say yes when you mean yes and no when you mean no? This is a big one too. Guys, as leaders, we have to be able to do this with ourselves and do this with others. Are you taking on too many commitments? Because you're not going to be able to lead yourself then if you're saying yes to everything when you really want to say no. That's such a big one, guys. And the second piece under higher standard, along with just following through on what you say you're going to do, is under accountability, is having a higher standard. What are those things you value? Who are you at your core values, if you will? Businesses have these all the time, but you should have these for yourselves too. What standard are you going to play to today? Win or lose, what are you going to make sure you follow through on? Who are you going to show up as? This is something so much bigger than just a list of things you write down. This is how you're living each day, staying accountable to it. It's having a personal contract of saying, these are the things I'm not going to do. I'm not going to compromise in these areas, and then following through on it. Be a man of integrity, a man of honor. And that's going to show, guys. People are going to flock to you as a leader if you can start doing that with yourself. Last thing, our fourth thing here after accountability, finally, there's alignment. Now, this can mean several things. You're going to want to be aligned with the right people, with the right resources in your mind and your body, and for a bigger purpose. Now, the right people, that's a big one I've learned in my life recently, just with surrounding myself around people who can demand more out of me, who can expand my vision, who can bring the best out of me, see the best in me when I can't even see it in myself. That's so big, guys, for developing your best leadership skills. With the right resources, this could be investing in coaching. This could be taking a course. It could be having the right book or the right podcast on based on the things you're trying to work on. Alignment in your mind and your body. That's just making sure that you're not believing for big goals in your mind, but you're not taking care of your body. You're not letting your body keep up with that. Or vice versa. You're spending so much time in your body, strengthening your body, but you're not sharpening your mind. You're not growing in those areas. We see both sides of that so many times. And lastly, for a bigger purpose, this could be something in your faith. For me, that's a belief in God and a belief in using my talents and resources and everything I'm given to give back. That could just be for bigger purposes in the business you own or the community you're in, or trying to give back in different ways for your family, something outside of yourself. This is a big comment I wanted to end on, just because we hear self-leadership and that sounds selfish, but all of this is being done for a bigger purpose. I focus on self-leadership so that I can lead Lindsay better, lead our future family better, lead our community, our business, all those things, guys. That's the bigger purpose of why we need to work on ourselves to show up better, Because if I'm not my best self, if I'm snapping at Lindsay, if I'm being a you know being down on life and not showing those positive things and not following through on what I say I'm going to do, how are we possibly going to impact those around us? And guys, that's what you have to keep in mind as you work on this. And guys, I believe this is so important. I believe if you take these things, you will benefit from them. But I want to leave you with a specific take action takeaway, as I call it at the end of these episodes, something that you can take and apply right away, not something that you just listen to this podcast and say, oh, that's great. That's great stuff. I totally get it. And then flip to the next podcast. Guys, we need to be men that take action. So today's take action takeaway I want to leave you with, of those 4 strategies mentioned: alone time, awareness, accountability, and alignment. Where do you need to focus the most time this week? Choose one area and hold yourself to spending at least 10 minutes daily focusing on it. That's all it is, guys. 10 minutes daily. Identify the area and start working little by little to make that become more routine, more habit. Now imagine being a leader that your family, your employees, coworkers, and community look up to. Leaders are not born. We all have the capability of doing this, and it starts with the ability to lead ourselves. Guys, I'm so glad you listened to the show. This is a topic that I'm super passionate about, and I just want to let you guys know, if you're looking for more accountability and guidance to level up your life, your leadership, and your legacy when it comes to your business and your family, I want you to know most guys we work with, they have no problem working hard, but they're just busy working on the wrong things to see big changes. Now, if that sounds like you, and if this episode struck a chord at all, we should talk. Head on over to menmadeformore.com/apply. That's linked right up in the show notes. And guys, you can schedule a free coaching call there to help you identify your biggest barriers keeping you from the life you want to live. I would love to help you guys out. I'd love to talk through what you're going through, identify any of those barriers, and just get you guys on the right path to adopting this model of self-leadership, leading yourself and going out and leading those that need you the most. Guys, thanks for listening in. I appreciate every one of you, and I will talk to you guys soon.